So racing's sumo match in the Supreme Court is now off. Anthony Cummings and Nathan Tinkler of Patinack Farm have decided on an out-of-court settlement. How disappointing for the industry. I usually try and temper my criticisms of the industry and prefer to focus on the side of it that I love the best, the animal itself and the actual racing. And after a champagne day of racing last Saturday from Caulfield, it was hard for me to hit the kill button on the weekend's high and switch my attention to things in the industry that are not good. But I picked up the Sunday Telegraph on Sunday morning and read Richard Zachariah's column on the looming out-of-court settlement that has apparently been brokered between Tinkler and Cummings by some good-hearted soul who wishes to remain anonymous. I can honestly declare no interest here. I wear no cap here, not the Patinack Farm cap, not the cap of the leading bloodstock agent and auction houses, and not the Cummings one. Sorry, Ant, I haven't got one from you yet. I've met Cummings once in my life for about 10 seconds. Have never had anything to do with Tinkler or Patinack, although I did send an email once to his head honcho and did not even get as much as a courteous reply. Seems they're big on a lot of things, but not on manners. So who was going to win the battle in the Supreme Court was of no consequence to me. But the battle had promised to deliver so much more than a winner. It had promised to deliver a warts and all insight into the corrupt practices of secret commissions, the dubious trading practices employed by some auctioneering companies and bloodstock agents, and the inducements offered to trainers by the major studs, and probably much more. Now it appears all of this will be hushed up as a result of the settlement. Not that this type of behaviour is exclusive to racing. It's just that it appears that racing does less about it, more often than the real world. This was clearly indicated in Zachariah's article when he wrote, "A major group of stud breeders will be overjoyed. The case is not going ahead and any dirty linen will stay in the closet." On Monday morning, Ken Callender used his Daily Telegraph column to call for a code of conduct to be forced upon thoroughbred sales outfits, stating that self-regulation had not worked in his belief and owners were being, quote, financially raped as a consequence. Sorry, Ken, but you and I both know this is not going to happen. I can only speak from the Platinum Racing experience to say that negotiating a safe path in racing as a battling outfit is fraught with danger. It can be done, and in the long term, as far as Platinum Racing is concerned, it will be done. But it is not being achieved without Platinum Racing having received its fair share of being porked. For this segment, I better put on a rogue's cap. That of Eagle Park Stud in orange. Try getting some action out of the authorities when you uncover you've been porked blind, especially if the person doing the porking has some reputation in the game, deserved or otherwise. It was interesting to note that both Cummings and Tinkler, according to Zachariah's article, were dreading the cross-examination they would undergo should the Supreme Court hearing have proceeded. Why? Cross-examination's no big deal unless you have something to hide, particularly if you attempt to hide it throughout the course of your time in the dock. Neither of them seemed particularly shy men to me. It was also interesting to note that some weeks back in another feature story on the then looming legal imbroglio, that a journalist stated that there were plenty of bloodstock agents unwilling to give valuations for the trial, after having previously indicated they would. One can again ask why, and the logical conclusion for their withdrawal is pressure from one side or another, or from major players and employers in the industry. It's not hard to imagine that there would have been many in the industry on Prozac in expectation of subpoenas as the trial date drew closer. Cowardice and rumour-mongering has never been a scarce commodity in racing. Had the trial proceeded, there is little doubt there would have been some official intervention in the aftermath, and one would suggest that this fact was not lost on neither Cummings or Tinkler, and a myriad of nervous bystanders. It would also be not lost on the industry as a whole. Several will be relieved that the status quo's been retained. Glasses of Grange will be lifted aloft over candle-lit red cedar tables in the Hunter, as the purveyors of fine horseflesh declaring in relief that common sense has prevailed, in their perfect diction honed at some private school. There will be others, however, with horse manure under their fingernails drinking tap water or a stubby of VB that feel quite differently. But then again, they're not the clientele of the major studs, so no point seeing any real change to accommodate people who are in the game simply because they love it. Besides, have you seen the price of Grange lately?